Hi, Dan, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So, Dan, introduce yourself and your business and where you're from.
So I'm Daniel Bowden, the company owner and director of Bridge Construction Northwest. We are a company from Manchester with 8 to 10 employees, employed plus subcontractors working for us full time. Our work involves a variety from structural alterations to extensions, new builds, loft conversions, down to kitchen or simply hanging a door and fit some skirting boards for a customer. A big variety of work really is what we do. Try and specialise and try and stick to mainly the loft conversions and the extensions and the new builds really, but we'll do anything really.
Okay. So we met kind of via the FMB, didn't we, originally? So you came to an
Yes.
FMB workshop?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
So briefly, kind of before you started the Construction Success Program, where were you? What was happening with your business? How were you feeling?
Feeling not really going anywhere. Working a lot, but not really seeing the advantages of the hard work that, I was putting in. It was a lot of strain and stress on the family, which, don't get me wrong, there's still, a lot of stress and strain on family life now as the company continues to grow, but it's in a lot better position and a lot better way than it was before I started the program over a year ago. It's made a massive difference. It felt like I was in a rut, not really getting anywhere. I suppose the foundations were there, but then I'd not come from a business background. I'm a builder at the end of the day. My background is building. I didn't know how to run a business. Didn't really know much about business and stuff like that on a running side. I just knew how to run a building site and a building job. I didn't really know how to run a company, and I was winging it, really, is the word I was using, just making it up as I went along, really, and hoping
I think I've used that word a few times in posts recently. So yeah, winging it.
Yeah.
It's not really the solution, is it? So
No.
looking back on those days, what was your biggest day-to-day challenges then?
Trying to manage, it's that you see it all the time online, that the reel on Instagram where the guy's trying to run a business, do quotes, do the invoicing, do the family life, and then try and still have a personal life. And it's so difficult to do. And it's only, since I started the course that it's really opened my eyes. And since, I've had you as guidance and help, and I've been learning and implementing things that, and it's a bit on yourself as well, because it's your company. You don't really want anyone else involved, and you kind of find it. I've personally found it really hard and was really reluctant to delegate duties and responsibilities to other people. But since I've done that, it's allowed me a lot more freedom to focus on, certain aspects of the business, training the lads, that are apprentices, being more with the lads where they need me, and also growing the company, which I've had more time to do and focus on more and getting quotes out quicker, but putting more time into the quotes so I know exactly what's involved and the processes and everything like that. Really, our total quote system I've fully got rid of it and started again and really changed it. And it's changed for a big difference, and it's made a massive difference for us, our job percentage that we're winning and everything like that. In the last year, our staff turnover, our number of employees, has doubled. So we've gone from 3/4 to now we've got 9 employed. So it's more than doubled, but it's only recently that we took someone else, and we're probably going to be looking for another person to make it 10 probably in the new year now.
Okay. So before the program, had you tried to do anything to kind of get over that hump, to kind of change things?
No, I was stuck in a vicious circle, just stuck in a vicious circle of just going round. And you'd say, yeah, I'm going to do this, this and this and try and make it different. And it never changed. Nothing ever changed. And I think that was at a point in the business where I had 2 young lads at the time, apprentices, and it was kind of difficult to grow because I wanted to keep a lot of the stuff in-house, a lot of the work we do, because I've taught the lads and they know to the standard that, we require, I've set. So that's another part of the side where I find it difficult to sometimes bring in subcontractors, because it's a worry in the back of my mind, because I've been burnt in the past of the fact that it could go wrong, and then I've got to spend my time then putting all the work right and everything like that. But I think now it was, like I say, it was just a vicious circle of firefighting and just trying to put fires out everywhere. I've made mistakes when I first set out, definitely made big mistakes. Stuff that has been a great learning curve for myself when I was younger. I went self-employed when I was 22, started doing extensions straight away, and yeah, there's some big learning experiences, really big. But I'm very fortunate that I've also got me father, my dad, who's in the trade, who does plumbing and bathrooms. But I've been able to lean on him a lot when I was younger for a bit of guidance and stuff like that. But not on the business side. That was just to deal with customers, how to go about it, how I should approach certain situations. When things got tense with customers and things like that. So it was definitely, yeah. When I look back now on the way I used to do it, I don't know how I did it personally. From a business running point of view and everything like that, to how it is now with the people I've got involved close to me, it's a massive, massive difference. And it's a good difference as well. It's made my family life a lot happier and a lot better. Still room for improvement, massive room for improvement, but from where it was to where it is now, it's a big difference, and it can only, in my eyes, get better as it goes forward, and we continue to grow, hopefully.
Well, you're on the journey now, aren't you? I mean, learning from mistakes is the most powerful way to learn. But unfortunately, some people don't come back from those mistakes. So, it's not the best way to learn. It's the most powerful way to learn. But the best way to learn, if you're open minded, is to learn from other people's mistakes. So that's kind of, the way forward, really. So when we first kind of started talking about the course, I think you did the Build Your 5-Year Business workshop. And I think I said to you that they're workshops. You'll be working. How
Yeah.
did you feel? How did you feel about that kind of moving forward?
It's something that instantly grabbed my attention because I knew that things needed to change, and that was why I initially booked on to the 1-day workshop through the FMB, because I knew something had to change if the company wanted to grow. I couldn't grow it the way I was doing it, and it was never going to grow that way because it just wasn't. It was a functioning problem basically. So it was ticking over, but it wasn't a business. It was just like a one-man band basically, and I got a couple of employees really. So I've really enjoyed the workshops. I think they've been brilliant. Just different bits and aspects, and not everything's going to be suitable for my scale of business. Or it's like a broad, to this is the point we want to get to. But you've got to cherry pick which bits of information. For me, anyway, I've cherry picked the bits of information and implemented which bits I think are going to suit my business at the moment. But then as it grows, I know what I've learned I can apply at a later date as the company keeps growing, and I can make the changes as I need because I feel more confident in myself to make those changes rather than before where I was panicking and hesitant. And I was a bit like a rabbit in a headlight, to be honest, sometimes, because I don't know what I'm going to do. Sometimes, the attitude is you just got to get your head down and crack on, and it'll all go fine. But there's only so many times you can do that, unfortunately. That was to the point where I was at, and it was kind of like a bit of a blessing that, the FMB put this course on, because I thought that's something I need to really help me, and basically to start again, scrap everything, just start again, and just, you focus everything and put stuff in place. So if things do go wrong again, at least I know I've got certain processes and systems and everything in place that I can fall back on and go, right, okay, well, we've got this, we're at a bit of an issue, what do we need to do? Which has definitely been a big help at the moment. Really, it's been invaluable, really.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And you know, the workshops didn't just happen. We launched the first version, second version, third version. So every time we do them, we improve them. And one thing we brought in, in the last couple of months, which I think you've done one session on, which is the board peer meeting at the end.
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
Good, because I think people need to be held accountable. I'm certainly someone that, me personally, I need to be reminded and pushed and prompted to do things, because life's that busy. You kind of forget. Everyone forgets. I forget stuff on a daily basis. The lads ask, "Have you done this?" And I'm like, "Oh God, no." But need reminding. You need to be held accountable, because if you're not held accountable, things won't grow, and you won't set aside the time to grow that. You know, to give it the time it needs to be able to grow the business. And, it's not just going to happen overnight or by spending 1 hour a week and stuff like that. There needs to be a bit of time set aside so you can really sit down, focus, have a clear head to then go at your targets, what you've said, and to grow the company.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I brought that in specifically because some of the feedback I got was it's a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of things to change all at once. And I wanted to get to cut through that and say, look, no, you don't have to change everything at once. You have to focus on these things you're committed to change. And hopefully in the process next few months, that's going to have a huge impact on clients. So just looking at the workshops generally, I like to call it a eureka moment. Have you had any eureka moments where you thought, I just didn't think of that?
The client's journey, the client's journey certainly was one. Now, before we'd come, I'd seen something from an architect that we started working with where they had a brochure. So I'd already, got one in the works, and I'd sent it to a couple of really clients who we were working for at the time. Said, look, what do you think? Is there anything we could put in different? And they were, they helped and, suggested a few things. But then, I've took quite a lot of points off you, set a process up. Again, processes like we go on about a lot about in the workshops, of how to do things from the start, and it's made a big difference. Clients are really engaging, getting really involved, with that. The tick sheet before we start a job, stuff like that. It's made a big difference. And another one was which one was it? We did one of the Zoom calls with someone on a software system,
Which
which I
one?
thought, which
A
was the
live
one.
costs or
Live cost, that was it.
okay,
Live cost,
yeah.
which I thought was, the live cost was a brilliant idea and something that in the new year we are definitely going to sit down with them and speak to them about and bring on board, because as most people know, unless you've got someone sat in the office every day for 8 till 4 tracking and doing, for a small business, it's difficult to do that and to have the resources, and everything you need, plenty of staff to be able to do it. And that I thought was a brilliant little software. An hour a day you could go on and just set everything up. If the lads need stuff, you can do it on your phone, they can ring you. So for small to medium businesses, that was another, like, wow, that's something that we really need to bring on board to make things better. There was a workshop we did where it was about employees and the scoring, not the scoring, but you rate them out of whatever. I think it was up to 150, so it's 1 to 10. We're doing our first one next Friday with everyone.
Wow. Which you committed to in the Board of Peers, didn't you? I
Yes.
remember. So, yeah, so I mean, that's a powerful way of looking at your employees. Had you ever looked at employees in that way before?
No, my dad's very vocal sometimes, with things, but I think that's just the experience he has. I'm fortunate as well with my mum. She's worked in a higher, business, pressurized, manages a lot of people, over 100 people that she manages. So I'm fortunate in that aspect, but sometimes I have to tone it down and bring it back to what, a building site is. And, none of my lads are over the age of 30 who I have currently, apart from one, sorry, now. But we're all young lads, we're all a similar age, which I think's great in a team because there's not big disparities in it. I've managed to, all the lads that are involved have all been trained by me or someone in the company. So they know the standards, they know how to work, which, it's great that. But not before, no, going back to the point, sorry, no, one that I've had to, get rid of a couple of people and a new one lad was an issue, but I didn't know how to go about it. Now, looking back, if I'd have had this system, I probably could have maybe tried to fix the issues sooner and he might still be working for me. Now, he might not have been, but I think on my part and my behalf, there is stuff that I could have probably stepped in sooner to try and stop it getting to the point where it got to, and maybe, he might still be working. He is still working in the trade, and to be fair, he's doing really well, because I'm still in contact with him, so there was no bad relationship with him. But I think looking back, there's probably a lot I learned from that, and, things I would certainly do differently next time to try and preempt to the point where it got.
That's good. I mean, that was the Build Your 5-Year Business workshop. And we score the whole team, and people do make decisions after that about, who's the right people to grow with the company, who isn't, and who perhaps might not be, shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But, that's not what it's about, really. It's about supporting people to get better and understanding where you can support them. So, I think it's a great tool. And I see a lot of people kind of get a lot out of it. So what about programming projects then? Because something else I'm very keen on people doing. Has that changed?
Yeah, so the software for doing the Gantt charts,
Yeah.
yeah, we've implemented it, and it's something that I'm still learning. a lot on personally, something that I'm trying to, while I'm learning, teach the lads on as well to, to go on if they need to let me know. I think, like we've always said, communication is such a vital tool between the lads. Now, we've got multiple sites running and the lads have to communicate with each other, through WhatsApp or ring me or speak to each other about things, which, they're getting better at. It's not, like we said, it's not going to happen overnight. Things are going to take time. But to be fair to the lads, they've really took it on board. They've took the Gantt charts on board, the job schedules, the checkpoint days, which have been a really big one for stuff so things don't get missed on sites. We've now started to do 2 checkpoint days.
So you talk about stop points, aren't you? Quality
Stop
control
points,
stop
sorry.
points, yeah.
Stop point, not checkpoint,
Yeah,
stop
not
points, yeah.
checkpoints, stop points, yeah, okay, yeah.
Stop points. So we've now done 2, one pre-plaster, so make sure the insulation's done, nothing's been missed plumbing, electrical wise. And then the first one is anything like external, so a loft, make sure it's all siliconed outside, anything, make sure the roof, any broken tiles, guttering's in proper, check the falls. But it's made a big difference because it's preempting a lot of the snagging that the customer doesn't need to mention and things like that. So the relationship with the customer has got better, and customers love to see it because they can
And
see the
hopefully
progress.
that rush at the end, but also that rush at the end where, you're trying to do the handover. I think that's definitely challenging if, you don't use stop points as sign-off sheets and other things that So how do you feel about process now?
I think I still have got a lot to learn, and I think I've still got to adjust it to the way I work and, just tweak it a bit to make it, but it's definitely becoming more and more part of my day, part of the business. But I do, like things will take time, but hopefully by the new year, I think I'll be, fairly confident in what I've got set in place for the processes. If something goes wrong, a reporting process, and everything like that, I think I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was, say, 6 months ago when you first mentioned it to me, and I was like, my God, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do.
The other thing, I think people are often worried about coming into a group. And it's been mentioned to me from people, I don't know about discussing things in front of other people. How did you find being in the group? And, were there any kind of really good moments where you got something from other people on the course?
Yeah, the Manchester group, which I'm a part of, I've met a lot of, brilliant, different people from different backgrounds. It's not just builders. There's been architects, roofers, small companies to multi-million-pound companies that are in the group. There's such a variety of different people in that group that, if one of us doesn't know something, someone will know the answer, or they've got a good suggestion, or they can help you out. And that's another thing from working in the group. You can take it, speak to them personally. You create relationships and, create good, contacts. And if you're in, you're stuck, you need a hand or you need a bit of advice, and you can ask anyone that in the group. And I have no issues working in a group. In my personal life, I'm a referee. I have to work in a team all the time. And like we say, communication and teamwork and helping each other out is a massive, massive skill that some people just, like you say, they're scared to come in a group and open up. I have no problems opening up to, anyone about any issues we've got, because for me, you gain people's respect more if you're able to open up and show emotions and, you know, let them know your problems, let them know your feelings, because people have a lot more respect. They feel more of a personal connection. And I think you can use that with a customer as well. That first meeting with a customer, will win you or not win you the job sometimes by how you communicate, how you are, that relationship you build on that first time. And it's the same when you go into a group. You just got to be, I think, open-minded and go in with, I'm just going to see how it goes and get to know people, really. But working in a group, the group's been brilliant for me. I would recommend it to anyone.
And I love the honesty. People discussing profit and people discussing challenges and people discussing other people. And, I just feel it adds such a good dynamic to what I'm doing. And I think I've done a lot of one-to-one clients and I work one-to-one with people, but the groups, I think people get more out of. And I think it's quite an important part of it. So looking ahead then, what's kind of changed in your outlook to growing your business and, where you're going to be in 5 years' time? What's your vision like now and how do you feel that's changed?
Business side, it's changed dramatically, and I'm confident now that I'm able to grow, feel confident. Yeah, I'm always a confident person, and I've always been confident that, I have certain points in my life where I'd like to be, certain stages that I want to be at by certain ages, and things like that, set myself little targets. But from a business side, I didn't know how I was going to get there. Whereas as now I've got a bit more of a strategy, how I'm going to get there, what I'm going to do, targets to hit. Now, if I don't hit those targets by the set time, it's not an issue because I can just reevaluate and readjust and alter them slightly. Things, in life come up that are unexpected, they can't be predicted. And you've got to be able to be flexible and adjust to the times. And I think that's, a massive one for businesses at the moment is being able to be flexible and adjust because things will change again. And I'd like to think that they're going to improve for, a lot of small and medium businesses and things will be better and things will, drastically, improve in a sense. The building trade at the moment is booming. And hopefully, we can keep going with the trend and it does keep moving.
Well, I'm really pleased you said that because I get lots of people go, oh, can't get any business. We're having a hard time. And I can tell you now, looking at their business, it's their business. It's not the economy. There's a shortage of good builders. So, if you are really struggling in this climate, you've got something wrong,
Yeah,
basically.
that was going to be my next point. That I personally have a lot of people messaging me asking about apprenticeships, especially in the area we live in, Manchester, Stockport. It's a separate point altogether going, but I think for a lot of small builders, they're hesitant to hire apprentices, really hesitant. And I know there's a lot of other stuff, politics and everything that go with it because of the wages you've got to pay them and everything like that. But essentially, at the end of the day, if we don't bring apprentices through, there isn't going to be enough quality tradesmen in the future. And it's on the small builders and medium builders to take on more apprentices to train them because otherwise there isn't going to be enough skilled people to go around. There's big shortages of skilled tradesmen at the moment. And a lot of been looking for people and found it really difficult. And in the end, I've took on another apprentice. We've got 3 at the moment. 2 are just finishing the level 2, going on to the level 3, and we've got another lad started that is his first year. But I think that is a big point in the building industry, which isn't spoke about enough, is the lack of young builders coming through. Now, in my
Well,
area,
I think the point with that, and I think people get this wrong. You hear that, millennials or, people who are growing up now don't want to come into the building trade. That's just not true. In fact, what's happening is they're getting places at college and the government are actually really investing in colleges and people getting trained, but then they can't get jobs or they can't get apprenticeships to kind of grow. So they can't do anything after college and they get a bit disheartened. And that is the problem. There's plenty of work going about, but those that are good are so busy, they feel they haven't got time to train apprentices. And I totally get that. But, the government need to wake up to the way they fund that as well. I think it's, um, we need to get more people actually working in the industry, just not trained in the industry. And I think that's quite important.
yeah,
So just going back to the construction success program, I've always been astounded actually how many people I speak to that don't go on it. I mean, it was fully funded. It's now 70% funded, and we're hoping that it's going to become a year program funded by the CITB. We should know this month. I'm so quite excited about that. But I would say if everyone I speak to, most people 1 in 10 sign up. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about signing up or saying they haven't got enough time to sign up?
I was similar to that. It's for in Manchester, it's one Friday a month. Now you can, to, you know, to grow your business, it's 70% funded. When I did it, it was 100. For me, it was a no-brainer. One Friday a month, I can leave the lads, the staff on site to run things for one Friday. It's not, the end of the world. Yeah, sometimes you can't make it because of certain things when the dates are booked. But for me, it's been a no-brainer for us growing the company and for me getting a bit of my social life, my personal life back to spend with my family. And for anyone who's got a young family, they feel like they're in a rut or they're stuck or anything like that. What you're gonna lose is my motto is what you're gonna lose. You do the course, you're gonna learn things, you're gonna take things from it. Yet some things you might not agree with, or you think that I can't implement that at the moment. But things change. But at least you've got an understanding and like a sort of a base understanding of that you can use in the future. And for one day a month, it doesn't. Everyone's got time. They can take a day off to go and go shopping or something with the missus. Why can't you just have one day off to go and learn, go back and be educated and sit in it's not a classroom. Do it. We sit in a hotel conference room and chat and have a coffee and it's not just learning all day. We have a chat and speak about different things, speak about business with each other, speak about personal life as well, because it's a closed little room. You can express and let off a bit of steam if things at work. And, like we said before, if you've got any problems, you can speak to other people who have been through those problems, who have got experience, and they can help you. For me, it's just an excuse because they can't be asked doing it, basically. When for one day a month, it's a no-brainer. For me, it doesn't. It's not an excuse, really. It's just they can't be
Well,
bothered, and
it is
I
exactly
don't want
that.
to.
It's an excuse, isn't it? And I
Yeah,
think, the challenge is when it wasn't funded, it was a lot of money and people, struggled to afford it, some of them. Now it's funded, it's not. So then the excuse is time, and it is an excuse, and people feel that they're just going to battle through it. And I see this a lot, and I see a lot of companies that unfortunately fail. They then fail because 40% of all construction companies don't make a profit. So they're working for salary or less than salary. And one in five construction businesses go bust every year. So I absolutely see why, because, people just try and work harder and longer hours and they don't get control and they don't understand how liberating process is. It sounds like process is like going to, keep you following that process and you've got no flexibility. And that's what we got. It's completely opposite. It liberates you because you can do things so quickly when you're following a process.
it gives you more. I totally agree with you. It gives you more time. I'm not afraid to say we were close to going bankrupt 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Through a multitude of things just going on, and it just like got on top of me. Spoke to some close family, because I bottled it up and let it go. Didn't tell my wife, didn't tell, because I didn't want her to worry and panic what was going on. And it wasn't the fact that we didn't have money coming in. Things had just gone on, and things that were a bit out of my control had happened on certain jobs with other trades, and things like that. And it just spiraled. Once it gets going, it's like a snowball effect. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the best thing I ever did was go and speak to my dad, because my dad's been through it. My dad's been through it. He was similar situation. And the best thing I ever did was speak to him, because as soon as I spoke to him, that weight off my shoulders felt unreal. And then I planned and did something about it. And since then, the company's just grown and grown and grown, because I sat down and, had a proper chat and said what I was up to and where I was going wrong. And the most powerful thing you can do is admit where you've made a mistake and try and not do it again, or, put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, I would correct that side. The most powerful thing you do is realize that you've got a problem. Okay. So our industry is very good about, they're very good at sticking the head in the sand. Just one of those things. Anyway, Dan, really good speaking to you. Thank you ever so much for taking some time to chat to us. And,
Pleasure as always.
hopefully, I'll be seeing you later in a couple of weeks' time anyway. But hopefully, this podcast can make a difference to someone who's on the fence and really does need the help to move forward.
Yeah, I hope it does. And I hope people come on board.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.